Hey everybody, this is my 20-gallon Angelfish tank, and last night I shot a video where I got in here and I really thinned out the water sprite. It was growing a lot of offspring, and I went in there and I pulled a bunch of them out, and I never did get around to doing the water change that I talked about in that video. So tonight we're going to do a simple before and after. I'm going to do a water change and a filter change. Of course, with the hang on the back filter, that's not that big a deal. I'm also going to get in there and wipe down the front glass, and I will probably get in there with my siphon and gravel vac. And while I won't do a really vigorous gravel vacuuming in this tank, partially because I have rooted plants in there, and partially because this substrate is sort of designed to settle in. You're not really supposed to continually stir it up if you can avoid it. So I probably won't be doing too much of that. But I will get in there. You can kind of tell how it has sort of that gray look to it. This is that same black Eco Complete planted substrate that I use in a lot of my tanks, but you can see in here it has almost a grayish sort of look, and that is a combination of mulm. And when I put the algae wafers in there for the pleco I have in there, I have a clown pleco in this tank, and I don't know if I put too many in there or if it's getting plenty of food in other places, but it tends to leave a little bit of that behind, and it winds up leaving this sort of mulm stuff across the bottom that's partially made out of algae wafers on occasion. So not really sure if we're going to be vacuuming any of that out of there or not. I also have a whiptail catfish that we seldom see in this tank. It's actually hanging on the back of the filter intake, which is where it practically lives. So maybe after the water change is over, it'll be out and about, or we can move the camera around and get a look behind the filter there and, you know, just have a quick look at that. So there you go. I will mention that my water sprite here, which is a type of fern, this is also known as Indian fern, is doing really well and growing emergent out of the tank. So once I get the tank topped off, the way the roots are hanging in there and the way the water is circulating and flowing around the tank may very well disturb how this sits in the water, so it may not be sitting quite so upright. You can see we've got some really vigorous new growth coming off of it, and I want to get it sort of in its new position before that growth starts really locking itself in place. So there you go, there's your before. Alright, and there's your after. So not a lot of difference. The water's a lot clearer, the glass is a lot cleaner. I didn't realize how much algae I actually had growing on the glass. It was that really fine spot algae. It wasn't any kind of hair algae or whatever. It didn't come off in sheets at all. That was actually a lot of elbow grease to get all that algae off the glass, but it looks a lot better. And then, of course, now that I've thinned out the roots from all that water sprite yesterday, that looks a lot better too. Another thing I did is I raided my quarantine tank that had 5 of the Bloodfin Tetras in there. And I already had 4 in the tank, and so I added them, and now we've got a nice little school of 9 of these Bloodfin Tetras that'll be in there swimming around doing their thing. So I'm really excited about that because they're cool looking little fish. And I've only got 5 of the diamond tetras, the ones that look like skirt tetras wearing their fancy clothes. I might like to add 1 or 2 more to that school too. I think that's a really attractive fish, and I like the way they behave together. I like the way they school together when they're spawning. As I saw recently, the behavior's a little bit different, and I think if there was a slightly larger group in there, that would be a lot more interesting to watch. But right now we've got the 9 bloodfins. I've got 2 cherry barbs, 2 female cherry barbs, and then of course we've got the pleco on the bottom. We've got those 2 big mystery snails. We've got the angelfish, of course. And then, if you can see there, hanging on the back of the intake is my whiptail catfish. And then, of course, I've also got the clown pleco that hides under those rocks on the bottom. So this tank already has quite a bit of fish in it. I don't think I necessarily need to go adding any more of those diamond tetras, whether I like the way they look or not. But all in all, I really enjoyed this tank. I'm really happy I took the top off and did it open top style. I'm actually thinking about raising that light up a little bit. I don't know how it would sort of light the whole place up a lot better. I think this fern would grow a lot better, or this water sprite, whatever you want to call it, would grow a lot better. But the further I get it away from the tank, the more the whole room gets lit up by it. But the inside of the tank looks good when you get the light away from it a little bit. You bring it down tight like that, and it kind of looks neat shining right down in the middle. But that's exactly what it does. It sort of shines right down in the middle, and it doesn't really light up the whole tank. And I think we're missing a lot of the really good sparklies that we could be seeing off of those diamond tetras if we had that light over here more with the diamond tetras swimming underneath of it. I think we might get a little bit more sparkle. So anyway, just some food for thought, just sitting here thinking out loud. But that is it for tonight. Got some other stuff going on. This is about all I was able to do in the fish room. I will have an update on my T-bar tank. I do need to do some work on that. And I do have a couple things I want to talk about in that tank. So make sure you're subscribed, and that way you won't miss anything I got coming up, including the video on the T-bar tank. And then don't forget, of course, that this one here is my 20-gallon Angelfish tank. So thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.